I have a confession. I used to have a really good sense of style that somehow went out the window because it just was so hard to make time to go shopping. And even doing online shopping and returns, it seriously stresses me out. And that's why I love Armoire, because it lets me rent high quality designer clothing for every occasion and regain my sense of style. Whether you're planning your outfit for a date night, packing for a conference, or in need of a gown for a black tie event, you will be the best dressed person in a room without ever having to brave a fitting room with fluorescent lights, which is my literal nightmare. What I love about Armoire is that the more I rent, the more on point the suggestions get, and Armoire starts to know my style and what will fit well. Right now, our listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/dateable. That's armoire.style, ARMOIRE.style/dateable to get up to 50% off your first month and never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today.
Are you like me and you love the convenience of ordering out, but between the inflated prices and tips and the less than healthy menu options, it really makes you think twice before ordering, right? Well, Gobble's here to help busy people like us enjoy healthier home cooking without the hassle. Instead of meal prepping and shopping, you just customize your weekly menu, get your delivery, and spend as little as 15 minutes to serve a delicious homemade dinner any night of the week. And this week, I made chicken fettuccine that was simply divine. And both Julie and I made it at the same time. I know, we're so cute. And we could not stop raving about how delicious it was. It was so easy to whip up in less than 15 minutes, and everything I needed was already in the box. For our wonderful listeners, we have a special deal to help you get started for less. See what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering our listeners a fantastic limited time deal. Get $120 off across 4 boxes, plus free shipping and free cookies. The cookies are so good. Go to gobble.com/dateable podcast. That's GOBBLE.com/DATEABLE podcast today. This offer is not available on their home site, so don't miss out. Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to season 19 of Dateable.
We just keep going up. We keep getting older. The number keeps getting higher, and we keep getting older. I've said that before, but
we stay the same.
Oh, right, that's right. We stay the same. I did meet someone recently who's on like season 25 of their podcast, and that may be the only person I've met who's had more seasons than us.
I mean, for people that are new to the show, we've been doing this for a little over 8 years, coming on 9 years. And, you know, we do multiple seasons a year, so it's not like 19 years of doing this. However, it feels like we've grown in 19 seasons. It feels like 19 years.
The reason why we did seasons, you know, because some podcasts don't have seasons at all, they just roll right through, is because we wanted a little break between some episodes. So it's kind of nice. You know, we do the off season, a few episodes that are not in the season, but we are still on. Gives us a nice break to just regroup another season of content together.
I mean, I think a big piece of it too is we started this in 2015 when podcasts weren't as established.
Yeah.
And I think you were like, you had an entertainment background too. And that's like how TV shows are done.
Yeah.
So I think that was a piece of it. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But we've learned over the time that we don't really ever take the break that we thought we were going to take. But I do think it gives us a mental break to regroup of like what the theme is each season. Because I think each season, it's not like an explicit like, oh, we're talking about money this season or anything like that.
But
there, we will be. But there is like an overarching kind of theme of growth that happens each season.
And so we were kind of thinking about season 19. What is it that we really want to hone in on? As you all know, we have a book coming out in January that is a culmination of our 19 seasons of doing this podcast and talking to thousands of daters. And we're not even exaggerating. We've talked to thousands of daters. And if we're going out with a bang, right? A book is coming out at the end of season 19. what is the message that we really want to deliver? And that is, listen, modern dating's fucked up. We know that. We know it's harder than ever before. And we know the system is broken. But we also know that in our almost decade of doing this podcast, some people have completely changed the way they date and gotten themselves to a place where they really love dating. They enjoy the process and they've been able to find a love life that works for them.
And have relationships that exceeded expectations. And I think you and I are both that.
Absolutely.
Along with other people we've talked to clearly. It's not just the two of us. But if you go back to season 1, you can witness our journey firsthand. And I mean, I just remember like you were very caught into like gender roles and the rules and like how dating worked. And I was very much like that person that looked at dating as a form of validation. I don't think I was able to like put those words in then, but I saw like everything that happened as a reflection of self, like someone that didn't want to date me again or text back. It was all that I wasn't good enough. And I think that really wore on me, and like getting out of these mindsets. And it wasn't just that for both of us. A lot more we'll be diving into. But I think getting out of that and recognizing why dating is setting us up to fail, like the system of dating, that's how we were able to like get out of it and actually enjoy it and actually meet people that we had really wonderful relationships with.
We think dating is such a privilege. Think about it. We are one of the first generations to have the liberty to date, to find someone that is for us and purely for us. So in theory, it should be very enjoyable and fun, and it's part of the process. Not like we're all trying so hard to get into relationships, you know, like to be saved. But the system of modern dating has trapped us in this thinking that it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be a grind. It's supposed to be a job. And once you get in a relationship, you get saved, which is, we all know that's not true. So in this book and also in this season, we're going to uncover what is it that we can start doing today, that we can start exercising the privilege of dating, enjoy the process of dating, and rise above this bullshit that modern dating has created for us.
I mean, you and I were talking about this the other day. And I think it's not just dating. I think this is all parts of life. I feel like in today's world, with like the internet and just information overload, there's just so much info getting sent to you at all times. Like I was thinking about like, obviously I'm full-time on this podcast now, and we went to a podcast conference, and sometimes it's like a little stifling of like, what should I be focused on? Because there's just so many things we heard at this conference, like to the point that it was overwhelming and contradictory. Like some people were like, focus on this. That's what moves the needle. Focus on that. Like this is what is worth your time. And it's just like, how do I even know that that's valid? Like, how do I know that this is a good investment of my time and resources? And I feel the same way about like health. Like sometimes it's like hard to get started with exercise or eating right because you know, there's one diet that's telling you don't eat any meat. Another diet that's like, all you should do is eat meat. And it's just like, what do I do? And I think like dating, there's just so many rules, unspoken rules, even, you know, in all like the kind of like 90s books, like that still hold true, like the rules in those books. But I think there's like so much like unwritten stuff too of just like how dating works, that it just like stifles any action.
And do you all resonate with this? Because I resonate with it. I feel like sometimes it's so hard for me to take action on the basics in life because I am so overwhelmed by information that I'm being pulled in every which direction, which then does the opposite for me. It just makes me want to do nothing. I can't get started. And so many of you have expressed this exact feeling in dating. It's like, it's the overwhelm before you even start, before you even open that app or meet that person on a first date. You're already overwhelmed. You are like to the brim of anxiety and stress that some of you just said, fuck it. I'm giving up. I don't even want to go on this date.
I mean, I think that's the truth of it. There's just so much noise again, like thinking of like going through TikTok, all the influencers spitting out different dating advice, or, you know, just hearing your friends being like, dating is the worst, dating sucks, or Googling, if you just Google modern dating, it's like dating is terrible. Like that is so overwhelming. So I think with this episode, what we wanted to do was kind of break down some of these areas that feel like contradictions, where it feels like, you hear one thing and then another, and like what actually makes sense anymore? And how do we start to let go, one, of a belief we might have around each one, and then also do something different? That's what we're aiming to do with this episode.
Break through the noise and understand what works for you and what will move the needle for you.
Yep.
That's this episode, that's this season, but also that's our book. Our book is so much focused on, this is all the shit you've been fed all these years. This is all the noise. And we give you a framework around how to break through that noise and decipher what works for you. I think that is the key takeaway, is determine what works for you.
Yeah.
All meat diet may work for someone, but may not work for you.
Yeah.
All app dating may work for someone. It may not work for you. Let's help you figure out that framework instead of you just jumping on every bandwagon that's promoted out there.
I mean, I think that's something that this podcast, we've always had a strong stance on since day one, of not ever giving rules. I know personally, when I went to all the dating books, when I first started dating, I was just so inauthentic because I was acting on someone else's rules.
Yes.
So that's always been something that we've really been like, nope, we're not going to go there. We're going to give best practices. We're going to give what we've seen work for people, or, universally wastes of time. And we definitely deliver that too in the book. So there is guidance, because I think sometimes people need like a little something, right? It's like a little overwhelming to just be like, I make up all the rules. But I think it's a balance of, we're going to share what we've learned over this time, but ultimately lead you down a path to do it in a way that works for you.
Do you all feel a sense of relief just hearing that? Because I definitely feel like I can exhale. I feel like so much of modern dating feels like you are holding your breath and just
totally
waiting for the other shoe to drop or waiting for the next TikTok trend to drop. And then you go, oh shit, I'm doing that. Or the person I'm dating giving you the ick. Or these are green flags. No, these are red flags. These are yellow flags.
Like rolling my eyes just hearing this. Yeah.
Right. I'm in my feminine. I'm in my masculine. Oh, no.
If they wanted to, they would.
and I should make the first move. And I should make the second move. No, I should wait 3 days to make the third move. I was just like, wow. Wow.
Head
do you ever
exploding.
Breathe? Yeah. Can we just all chill, relax, and like tune back into our own bodies?
I mean, when we wrote this book, like Yue and I definitely have these sections in the book where we reflect on our own journeys. Like there's call out sections, but we definitely have that. And even just rereading them, it brings me back to those days. Like I just remember just like sitting, being out with people, but like in my mind, all I'm thinking about, like, is this person going to text me? And just like every second, going to the bathroom so I could like check my phone.
Right.
Just like how much anxiety it gave me. And now I'm like, who is that person again?
Right.
Like, why was I so distant to people that actually cared about me in that time? It still hits me today. And I'm not saying this like if you are dealing with this now, like I have so much sympathy because I was so that dater back in the day. And I think there's still parts of the anxiety that sits with me today too. So it's not a one and done either. But I think just recognizing like how this stuff is affecting you and like how it's drilled in from society or our modern dating culture. Like it's not like something you're doing. It's like everyone's doing it. So then therefore you do it. Like I was actually reading this thing about de-individuation.
What's that?
Well, it's like when you're at a concert and everyone starts putting their hands up, you start doing it too. So I think there's a lot of parallels to dating culture with that.
For sure.
It's like when everyone's stressed or agonizing over dating terms or talking about ghosting and all this stuff, then that like is what becomes something that you're focused on, or you think like, oh, I can do it because everyone else is doing it.
For sure.
And it's just like a cycle of bad behavior.
Yeah. Modern dating is one long, cruel laugh track that they used to have in 90s sitcoms. Maybe some of you are too young to know.
I like that analogy.
They used to put laugh tracks in sitcoms, which would instigate laughter. You would laugh harder if there was a laugh track because you hear other people laughing. It's the same thing with modern dating. It's like you see so many other people doing it, and we're all in each other's echo chamber on social media. So then it gets amplified. Then you feel like the whole world is experiencing this. So I am also experiencing this, and this is normal. We're here to tell you it doesn't have to be normal. Okay. We don't have to accept that as the normal. And there is control that needs to be taken back in our hands to move past what modern dating is today. Because if we keep going down this path, we're calling this a love crisis, an impending love crisis. We're at the front of it already. It's like this impending recession.
Yeah.
There is a impending love recession and the stock market is tanking, and we see this crashing in a few years if we keep going down this path. So not to toot our own horn, but we really think this book can save us from an ultimate love stock market crash.
A love crash. I like it.
Oh, love crash.
Love crash. I was like thinking as we were talking, I definitely want to link the episode that we did with our friend Sonica in this, because it was called The Lowest Common Denominator. And I think it sums up so much of this behavior. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, check out the show notes. We're going to start linking relevant episodes too. So I know like when I'm listening to podcasts, I've been listening so many podcasts lately outside of ours. Sometimes I'm just like in a roll and I'm like, oh, I want another episode, but then I have to like search for something, but I like the one I listened to. And I just wish I had a rec. So we're going to start doing that.
Yes. We're the Amazon of podcasts now. Just keep recommending them to you.
Cool. Well, before we go into the crux of this episode, I feel like, announcements. Send in your brunch talk questions. We are really gearing up again for this next season, and we want to get all your questions answered. So you know the drill by now, but if you're new, you can always put your question in the review, the body of the review on Apple Podcasts. If you're a lovely listener watching on YouTube, you can also drop it here. And if you still could leave us that rating in the review, it goes a long way. But you also can DM, email us. There's many ways of getting in touch with us. And, we're saying the review just because like reviews do matter so much. And, the more with this book and all this, we want to be able to spread the word on other podcasts. So when we have like 1K reviews, like people look at us and they're just like, yeah, they're legit. So help us get to 1K on Apple. That is our goal. I think we're actually pretty close to 500 on Spotify, but keep them coming there. If we get to 1K there too, that would be incredible. So yeah, and if you're a Spotify listener, like we have a way that you can leave your takeaways from every episode. We love getting those. We'll definitely read some on air if we get some good ones. So make sure to leave them. From time to time, we'll put up polls there. And of course, follow us on Instagram at Dateable Podcasts. That's actually where a lot of this comes from today. The inspo of this whole episode came from a post that we put up that got some good response. So we were like, let's dive in deeper.
Yeah.
So you can see things in more written format. And of course, last announcement, pre-order our book.
Woo!
Pre-orders, it matters a lot in the publishing world. Yue and I are still trying to wrap our heads around the publishing world.
We'll never understand it. And publishing world is like modern dating. It's a head scratcher.
But it does make a big difference of like how much distribution this book gets. And our main goal of this book is to get it into as many hands as possible so people start dating differently.
Yes.
Because we don't really want to hear about at parties like why modern dating sucks. Like we just don't care. We don't want to hear it anymore.
I know.
We want to change the convo, and we think this book will change the convo.
Gift it to your friends, gift it to your family, gift it to someone you think will probably need this in 6 months, to have the foresight to understand what your friends need right now.
That person that just hits you up with dating advice all the time and you're like, I just don't, it's draining. Give them this book. There's so many ways.
Sure is.
But howtobedateable.com, you can go there. It's also many links on our direct website, dateablepodcast.com. You can find it. It's also linked to the show notes.
Yes. And then you don't get charged till January. Yeah. So just basically like you're putting it on hold right now.
Yep.
Then you get a nice surprise come January 28th.
And we will actually be revealing some freebies too in the upcoming months that you will get even if you pre-order now. So all of that is locked in at that point. I was like, what is UA doing? For all our YouTubers,
yeah, for
you
all
got
of our,
like an up
everybody
close
on
and
YouTube.
personal view of UA, but she's grabbing the book to show you.
Early edition copy of our book. It's a galley copy, meaning it's not the final one, but you get a sense of how pretty the cover is and how many words there are in there.
It's a hefty book, but it's a fast read.
Yeah.
So my partner actually is away on a business trip and he took the galley with him.
That's adorable.
So yeah, it's not the final copy. It also is paperback. So if you see us with a paperback, that's why paperback isn't actually going to come out for like another year, but hardcover and audiobook, you can pre-order audiobook. We've been getting a lot of questions about that. Kindle, all those are good to go.
Compact disc, as we found out recently.
We need to figure out what that is. We saw that on a website and we're just like, yeah, we need to ask someone about this.
It's more expensive than the book, but you get a CD that you can. Someone did ask me the other day what a CD was, and I had to say compact disc, and they said, "What's that?"
So if you want to go retro,
if you want to, yes, you wouldn't know how to play it, but you'll look so cool with it.
We need to ask our editor about this. I'm just like baffled that this is even an option.
Can someone just order one? Just pre-order a CD, just so we say we had one sale in a CD. We'll probably be like on the top 5 list of CDs sold that week.
Like the only one.
The only one selling CDs.
Love it. We have so much to get into, but before we do, let's hear a message from our sponsors.
Hope you all are having the most magical summer, and you know what would make it even better? Some feel-good gummies from Via. Trusted by over 250,000 customers, Via's hemp products are the Swiss Army knife of wellness. Like, you need to chill out after a long day? Well, there's a Via gummy for that. Dealing with anxiety or stress? There's a gummy for that. Want to set the mood in the bedroom? Oh, there's definitely a gummy for that, because Via has developed a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing, libido-strengthening ingredients and a medium dose of THC all into one mind-blowing gummy called High Love, which is their best-selling gummy. It's also my go-to because it completely awakens my senses and increases blood flow, making me feel so darn good, either by myself or with a partner. If you're over 21, head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off. That's VIIA hemp.com and use the code DATEABLE, DATEABLE at checkout. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Take your passion and pleasure to a whole new level with High Love from Via Hemp.
You may have heard me mention in our newsletter that I'm in the process of planning a trip to Italy, and I don't want to be that American tourist that doesn't know any Italian. What better way than to use Rosetta Stone, the most trusted learning program available on desktop or as an app that truly immerses you in the language you want to learn. Rosetta Stone is the trusted expert for 30 years and millions of users with 25 languages offered. The whole process just feels intuitive, like you're picking up the language naturally, first with words, then phrases, and then sentences. Their true accent feature even gives you feedback on your pronunciation, something I may even need sometimes in English. This is an absolute steal right now. With 50% off, your lifetime membership includes all 25 languages, so you have this for any and all trips you need in life. So don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. Dateable listeners get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/today. That's 50% off unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/today today. Okay, so we wanted to break down some of the paradoxes that we see in modern dating. Like I shared before, we put up a post on Instagram that went into just 5, and we want to just dive in a little more of like what these meant and also what do you do about it? You know, like we can say what's wrong, we can say what's confusing, but ultimately we want to like change it and not just complain about it.
What are we talking about? There are these contradictions in dating that we just cannot understand how they coexist at once. It's like we say one thing and then we do something else. We want one thing and then we ask for something else. So we're going to go through all these contradictions. I guess we'll start with the first one.
I mean, this one blows my mind. And I think this is something that even in our Facebook group, we used to always hear people complaining about. there's not enough good people out there. There's not enough people on the apps. But then all of them were out there. And I'm just like, I don't understand like how people cannot find each other in this world. So what we hear all the time is there are too many options of people to date, so much that there is a paradox of choice. Yet there is no one good out there.
No one good. There's so many people. I don't know which app to go on. I don't know which event to go to. The world is so open up with options now. But when I go out there, there's no one there. There's no one.
Yeah.
There are no fish in the sea, guys. Reporting back.
I mean, this is like one of those things. I do remember this feeling like you're on a dating app and you're just like going through hundreds of people, yet like no one's talking to you. No one's matching back, or you don't see people that you think are interesting. And you're just like, how am I going through all these people, yet nothing's happening?
And it goes back to what we think is a trap, a typical trap in modern dating. It's the expectation of love on demand. It's the Amazon effect that we want instant and effortless connection. Like we can just say, okay, I'm ready for someone now. Okay, deliver me someone. And we don't go through the effort of connecting, relating, and getting to know someone.
Yeah, relation shopping is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I think with apps, like there's this feeling of like, I'm on there. I told the app what I wanted. I'm just going to get this person.
And then why isn't it giving it to
me on a silver platter type
in
of
2
thing.
days' time?
But it is frustrating. But I think a big part of it, like, so we talk about these traps in the book and we'll talk about them a lot more. But I think there's another aspect that we call the settling paradox, that we're like so hyper focused on more like surface level qualities that we like overlook what's actually important for a long-term relationship. And part of this, like with the apps, it's not even our fault. It's like the way apps are set up is the things that you're filtering on are height, education.
Yeah.
It's all obviously based on looks. Like,
yeah.
I think part of that is that like we have these laundry lists because we feel like there are so many options of people to date, that we, you know, need to whittle it down. So we're going to make this list. Like, again, the shopping effect of Amazon. We're going to put in all the things we want about this partner. And then when we see them, we'll know it. But then the problem is like that actually isn't reflective of who a good partner is.
We feel this so much animosity towards dating apps because we feel like an app's supposed to be a matchmaker.
Yeah.
You know, we feel like, oh, I gave you all my requirements and this is the crap you give back to me. What apps do is just introduce. It's not matching.
Yeah.
It says it's a match, but it's not a match. It's just introducing you to based on these superficial filters that we have, which don't really mean anything at all. I had someone get really upset that their filter was to age 42 and the app gave them someone 43. I'm like, really? That 1 year?
Does that matter? Yeah.
Yeah. Does that really matter in the long run? Because people are just going to get older. So we have animosity towards these apps and to anything that's dating related because we feel like, oh, I already outsource that job to someone and they should be giving me all these matches. We forget that there's another step is that we get introduced to these people and then we still have to find connection and find a way to relate and understand the humans that are presented to us.
I think there's an inherent flaw with dating apps that you just can't tell who they are either, the people. It's just not a representation of the person. Like we hear all the time of people like, oh, I would have totally passed up my partner that I met in person on a dating app. And that's so true. And I was actually listening to this podcast with Mark Manson. It was on his podcast. And he was talking about how like when he met his wife, he was like afraid like he was giving up all the options. But he realized that like actually the depth is what he wanted.
Yes.
And like a depth of connection that you just can't get. And I think like when I was definitely in the thick of dating, when dating apps like first came out and I was like newer to dating, kind of in serial dating mode, I was really exploring all the options. And I think it served a purpose to some degree to like get me comfortable and to get out there and all that. But nothing ever went past the third date, like ever. Mm-hmm. And it's because I didn't get to a depth with anyone. Mm-hmm. It felt surface level. It felt superficial.
And if that's what you're looking for, that is exactly what you're going to be getting. But if you are looking to build a life with someone and to understand if there's a future with someone, you have to give them more time.
Yeah.
People need time to show themselves. And I remember getting to this chapter in our book while I was in the middle of my disgusting breakup. And I was like, all of a sudden overnight went from, in a 5-year relationship to single.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, oh gosh, when I start dating again, my goal is not to acquire as many people as possible. I'm not trying to build my funnel here. I really want to get to the depth of conversation that I've really enjoyed in a relationship. And maybe this also means building deeper friendships. Because I think sometimes we think this deepness comes just from a romantic relationship. Well, if you don't know what a deep friendship looks like, you may not know what a deep relationship looks like too. It was a very holistic approach for me to think, okay, I'm not like in this acquisition game anymore. I just want to build more depth with the people I already know.
I mean, I think that's a really great way to think about it, that like that's not the norm of dating today.
No.
It's to like numbers game, go on as many dates as possible. And I think this illusion of finding the perfect person because of so much choice makes what's in front of you not seem like the best option. Like anytime there's something that's a little bit of an ick, a little bit of a red flag, then we're out.
Yeah.
That's why we're like, there's no one good out there. But the reality is we all have icks. We all have red flags. Like, we're not telling you to be with someone where there is like a deal breaker, that they're mistreating you or anything. But we've seen just like ridiculous red flags too. Like, oh, they mispronounced one word, or they texted and had a spelling error or something. And it's just like, they're human at the end of the day. It doesn't mean that they're like a dumb person.
Yeah. So we want to give you some actionable steps for each of these paradoxes. I don't even know. Like,
is that the plural of paradox?
But it is, on one hand, is what is a belief that you can start shedding today? And then 2 is an action that we suggest you to take. So the belief we're suggesting you shed here is the whole like, I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah.
That there is that perfect person for me. I'm like, when I see my soulmate, my whole entire soul and body will just know it. Know that this perfect partner for you is built and created, not someone who just appears out of a box and you go, ooh, there you are.
And I think it's like one of those things when you say it, people are like, yeah, of course I know that. But I think the way dating, again, is designed, you have to like counter the urges. That's what I learned, to like use dating apps, meet people in person, to do all the things in our modern dating. Like you have to know this, but then also be like, okay, since I know this, what am I going to do that's different? I think the obvious, like, oh, of course, I'm not like shopping for a person, but that's not what we're actually doing.
Right. So if you are able to shed this belief that you'll know it when you see it.
Yeah.
What is the action you can start taking today? Well, there's some actions that you can start thinking about this. One is seeing first dates as that introductory date. You know, there's like no fantasizing. Yeah, it's a meet and greet with an app that introduced you or someone who introduced you. And then think about, how can I create more depth with this person? Not how do I have more chemistry or sparks with this person, but depth. What does that mean? What does going deeper mean? And how can you make it that every date or every chance you see this person, you see a different dimension, a different side of who they are, and you are able to reveal that yourself too?
I mean, I still firmly believe less is more. Like the times when I was serial dating, going on so many dates, I couldn't keep them straight. Nothing progressed because you're half there.
Yep.
But then when you're not going out with every last person, maybe you're doing a few more screens before you actually go on the date. I think you can show up and give it your all and like actually be present and let that depth reveal itself.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, next one. No one wants to settle. Yet we settle for situationships, which is the absolute lowest form of commitment there is.
We settle for all the bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, nobody wants to settle, but I'll settle for someone canceling on me last minute or someone not returning a call that was urgent, or we settle for all this bad behavior And then we complain that nobody wants to settle down or settle into a commitment. That is like the settling paradox that Julie was talking about in our first scenario.
To the T.
To the T. We overlook so many of the qualities that matter in a relationship, yet we settle for all the bullshit that are detrimental in a relationship.
I mean, it kind of ties into that first one too, that like we feel like a connection is so rare that there's like a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Even though there's so many people and so many options.
Yeah.
But when you meet someone that's like, you know, you have connection with, and that instant connection usually, and chemistry, and they have all the stuff on your list, you kind of just want to make it work. And even if they're not on the same page of treating you well, I mean, so many times I did this that I'm like, it's okay. Like they say they don't want a relationship, but like things will change.
Yeah.
It'll turn around because I know that they're going to like feel that way once things keep going. And it's like, well, if they're not giving you what you want, you are settling for something that's actually not true to your needs at all.
There is inherently this problem going on in modern dating, and you may have seen it with your friends, but we've certainly seen it with our friends. Why is it in so many relationships or like early relationships, I always see a person who's so ready to settle chasing after the person who's so not ready to settle. And then they complain that nobody wants to settle. Yet I know so many other people who do want to settle. Somehow these people aren't finding each other.
Yep.
I have many friends who are like, I'm so ready to be in a relationship. And they're chasing after this person who's so not into wanting to be in a relationship. Yet multiple of these friends who are ready to be in relationships exist. They just don't find each other. And I'm always perplexed. I'm like, how do you like-minded people not find each other? It's because we chase after these toxic traits. Mm-hmm. We settle for someone who is interesting, quote unquote, exciting, quote unquote, gives me the butterflies, quote unquote, which also just means they're not emotionally available. They're making us chase them because guess what? They're running away. They're literally running away. That is the settling paradox. It's like we say we want one thing, yet we go after the people who do not want what we're looking for.
I just think the word settle is such an interesting one because even when you were saying it, right, it's like settle down is, you know, build that home, be with that person, like what we're all claiming we want to do.
Yeah.
At least if you're actively trying to find like a long-term committed relationship. But settling gets like such a negative vibe. It's like, I didn't get what I wanted. That's what it feels like, right? Like, you know, I'll just go with this person because they're good enough, but they're missing a lot of the stuff I want.
Yeah.
That's like the feeling of settling. It's almost like you feel like you should have every last thing. Again, probably goes back to this feeling of like the abundance of how many options there are, the shopping list mentality. Mm-hmm. And then when you don't get it, like I know for me, I had a list at one point. Luckily, I buried the list.
Thank God.
And I didn't actually use it. But of course, if you're going off a list, someone's not going to have every last thing.
No.
And then when I found my list, I actually realized that my partner had 90% of it anyways. Mm-hmm. And then the stuff that he did not matter.
So what is a belief that we can start shedding today? Again, just a suggestion from us. Maybe just shed the belief that settling is a bad thing. We can like reclaim the word settle and settling for someone. We feel peace with someone. The daily mundane things is actually a good thing. Like being boring is actually a good thing because it means there's no drama in your relationship. Settling can take on a whole new positive meaning, yet you will not settle for bad behavior or people who mistreat you or disrespect you.
Yeah, I think the biggest belief to shed is that being with someone is better than no one. We actually have an episode that's airing with very famous porn star. That was, you know, she was talking about this, even porn stars, even like celebrities. She was like, but if I give this person up, then I don't have anyone. And I think a lot of people are in that mentality. I can remember when I was in that mentality of like, this is the person, it's the present bias of like, this is who's here now. and you don't think there's going to be someone better. But that is
Yep.
absolutely not true. And the more you're not like making space for that person, it's near impossible to find them if you're holding on to someone.
So the action related to that,
And that situationship,
the action to take is to make space for the right person. However you want to interpret that. For most of us, it is cutting off ties with the person who's not right, who's occupying your physical and mental space, who is not making way for the right person to come in, also who's giving you false hope that he or she is going to change or the relationship is going to change. Newsflash, this person's not going to change. Newsflash, your relationship dynamic is not going to change. Newsflash, you're still going to be anxious. You're still going to be stressed.
It's also so much easier to build something with someone that wants to build something. Like if you're just like uphill battle the whole time, it makes it so much harder. Like relationships are already hard because of just all the shit they bring up for you, but it makes it so much harder when you're trying to like convince someone to do something. So yeah, that is something I wish I learned years ago. I think I would have been in a happier, committed relationship a lot faster if I wasn't stuck on these people that just couldn't do it.
That's a great analogy. Building a house. If you're truly building the house, and someone comes with materials and tools, you come in with materials and tools, you start building together. Maybe the door they built is not exactly what you had in mind, but they're actively and happily building a door. Would you rather have that person to build a house with you or someone who's like off to the side, smoking a cigarette, looking through TikTok, and comes in and tries to help you with your door every once in a while? Your door is to your standards, but they're not building anything. They're just here to put in a nail here and there. Who would you rather build a house with?
I like that. I think the last thing we'll leave too is we've heard this a lot from people, and we're not hard, fast rules, but I think this might be my one exception personally. I know people have brought this up, and I think we don't like to do rules, but this is like the one area that I think I feel strongly about personally. We hear people all the time be like, well, I have that like friends with benefits. Like it's just a hookup. They're not actually getting in the way of me finding my person. I absolutely think they are. If you're expending any energy on that person, they're holding more weight than you think they're holding. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, like you're not open for someone new. Like, who wants to date someone that has, like, a friends with benefits that they're seeing every weekend?
Nope.
I want to get into our next ones because we have two more that we're going to go through. But before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Summer has flown by, and I can't believe we're already gearing up for fall. Fall is by far my favorite time of year, from the start of cuffing season to the fall fashion. Luckily, Quince makes shifting your wardrobe a breeze and a little too much fun because of their timeless and high-quality items that allows my wardrobe to stay fresh without blowing my budget. The best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. I got their signature cashmere sweater and tan for only $50, and I cannot get over the price point for how silky soft the quality is. And I just feel so fancy that I have cashmere in my closet now, and even happier that I got it at that affordable price. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable. Summer has flown by, and I can't believe we're already gearing up for fall. Fall is by far my favorite time of year, from the start of cuffing season to the fall fashion. Luckily, Quince makes shifting your wardrobe a breeze and a little too much fun because of their timeless and high-quality items that allows my wardrobe to stay fresh without blowing my budget. The best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. I got their signature cashmere sweater and tan for only $50, and I cannot get over the price point for how silky soft the quality is. And I just feel so fancy that I have cashmere in my closet now, and even happier that I got it at that affordable price. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable. Hey everyone, a quick message about our Meeting People IRL Masterclass, Kickstarter, or whatever we're calling it these days. But regardless, this will be closing on August 31st. And, summer might be coming to a close, but there's clearly so many more opportunities this fall to meet people in real life. So we will never tell you to join a run club, but you can find your run club, i.e. that place that you meet like-minded people doing activities that you actually enjoy. So for 1 hour that you can do on your time, you'll learn exactly where to find those perfect spots for you and also get tips and advice on approaching and being approachable so you can be so much more effective while out in the wild. So again, we've heard great things from the people that have already done this, and we look forward to more of you doing it. So again, use the code DATEABLE and you can go to dateablepodcast.com/programs. Okay, technically 3 more, but these 2 go hand in hand, so we'll put them together. But the first one is we'll spend hours and hours dissecting our relationship problems with our therapists and friends, yet we're afraid to work on our relationship with the actual people involved. And then the next one is we spend every waking moment glued to our phones, texting, messaging, yet we have a hard time communicating in a relationship. I think crux of both of them is lack of communication with the actual person.
We have all the tools for communication, yet we use them in all the wrong ways, right?
Yeah.
I'm so guilty of this. It's the sending a screenshot of a text exchange to girlfriends asking, what do I say next? Or how should I deal with this? And not actually going head on to the person who I'm texting with. That is nuts. By the time I speak to the person I'm texting with, I'm already amped up. Yeah. That resentment has built. I already have a response. And to them, they're like, where did this come from?
I know this was something I did too. And this was actually like a conscious decision I made last time that I was dating. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm getting to action before, but like every time this need came up for me, I was like, I need to go to the person first and not go to my friends, because ultimately I'm dating this person, not my friends. And they only see one viewpoint of it.
I'm sorry. All your friends are wonderful, but there really is no benefit in going to your friends because your friends are not in this relationship. They don't see the nuances of the relationship. They're only getting your side of a heated story, which is also biased. So of course your friends are going to have your back and they're going to make you feel more angry or whatever it is that you're feeling in that moment. But it's not an unbiased opinion, right? Or like the people who go to someone they don't know, like strangers, where they like DM a expert with.
I mean, we've got this even with some brunch talks.
I know. I didn't want to call. I know.
We're like, just talk to your partner, the person you're dating. I didn't want to call
anybody out, but it's true. We get these all the time, and our answer is always like, go to this person first, because we don't even know if we're getting the whole story. This is all the truth that you're telling from your side.
I mean, this, I think, plays into one of the other traps that we talk about, relationship chicken. Mm-hmm. You've probably heard us talk about this before, but it's like no one wants to be the one to show their cards first.
Yeah.
And you basically end up acting the exact opposite way you would in a relationship in order to protect yourself. And I think that's what this is doing. It's like, I want to, talk to everyone else first. So when I actually do approach this person, if I even ever approach this person, sometimes you don't even. Sometimes you're like, I'll just play it cool with this person. I remember with my ex, I spent more time talking about our problems with my friends than with him directly.
Yeah.
I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to make things a big deal that were a big deal.
Yes. And when we do this, we immediately play offensive. We're like going in with a plan. It's like now we have a game plan because I've conjured up what I'm going to say. So then it puts your partner on the opposing team. Of course, that's not going to bode well. So what we always say, it's like, what is a belief that many of us have is, oh, I don't want to scare someone away. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to say something that pisses them off or offends them. Well, you don't know, one. And also, if you feel like you're walking on eggshells with the person you're dating, you're probably not in the right relationship.
Right.
Because it means you're not being communicative.
I mean, I think the action really is like the second you want to go to a friend, think about how you can approach your partner.
Yes.
That doesn't mean like you instantly maybe text them every last thing you're thinking about. You think about like, okay, like, could this be a conversation I bring up? Like, gather your thoughts on your own, but then have a relationship, which means relating to the other person.
Yeah.
It's so funny that we're like having more relationships with our friends and therapists and people that we talk to
I know.
than the actual person in the relationship.
I'll give you a great example. My friend texted me and asked, oh, it's been a few days since I've talked to this guy that I started dating. I really want to say something cute and fun. I don't want to come off like, hey, we haven't talked in a while. What should I say? And I was like, well, first of all, I'm not ChatGPT. I'm not going to give you some witty response or some
even
witty
ChatGPT would be terrible.
It'd be terrible because ChatGPT is not in your relationship. And two, what you just said to me, I feel like is so vulnerable and so honest that you can almost just say that to him. Oh, it's been a few days since we talked. I've been wondering what's been going on. I even thought about sending you a cute meme or whatever, but just want to say hi. Like,
Yeah.
Like it can be very simple if we want to simplify it.
I mean, I think it goes back to what we're talking about earlier about like modern dating setting us up to fail and like the culture of it.
Yeah.
Because there's this feeling of like, I need to like present myself in this way to date. Like that's where it stems from, right? Like she's like, I need to be witty. I need to be, not too needy. I can't come off in any way.
Yeah.
Like when you're asking you what to say.
Yeah.
Let's say you did give her something back. Now the person she's texting is actually texting with a pseudo version of her.
Exactly.
Because it's not really her that's like came up with this.
Right. She's not being authentic.
It's all fake. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if he does the same thing, then you're just like, are you even talking to each other? You're just like,
no. But dating, we are always like, we have to have the perfect profile. We have to have the perfect opening line. It's just so much like a pressure cooker to like always be on.
Just to reiterate, the action is when you feel like you want to ask your friends, someone you don't know on IG for advice. Just take a pause and say, what is the action I can take with the person directly first?
Or what is my actual ask here? I think sometimes we don't even know, like, what is it that we want?
Right.
Like with your friend, she wanted connection with this person. Like you have to take that beat and say, like, what is it I'm actually looking for?
Yeah.
And how do I broach this with the person that I'm dating?
Right.
Okay. Last one. We say all we want is love and connection, yet the way we approach dating is all centered around ego and disconnection.
Yes. Our want for connection, yet we are so disconnected at the same time. And that is so me when I was dating, like in my early 30s. I kept saying like, oh, I want to go deeper with this person. I really want to feel connected to them. Yet my pride got in the way of everything I did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to show my cards. I didn't want to reveal my feelings.
Relationship chicken again.
It's relationship chicken again. It's very daunting to feel that.
I mean, I think it's that. And then I also did the same. And it was because of this need to feel chosen, I think. That's where it came from. That's what I deeply wanted. But like I was trying to protect myself. So I would act in the ways I thought I should. And it's because I was so focused on the validation, which what we call validation trap, when you let dating define your worth instead of using it to find a good match. I became like, well, I can't make the wrong move or I can't do something because then they won't choose me or pick me and all that. And then reclaiming that agency of like, actually, I'm the one that is picking too. We're both picking each other. Like dating isn't around like how good I am. You're not better or worse if you're in a relationship. But I think that really got in my way that I started acting out of ego because I was like, perfect example, my 2.5-year situationship friends with benefits. He came at me hard at the beginning, was a friend of mine and was like, I want to date you. I've had a crush on you forever. And like initially I was like, I don't know, maybe this isn't the right person for me.
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, let me give it a chance. Let me, try it out. And I kind of came around to the idea of dating. And at that point, he's like, actually, I don't want a relationship, like pulled the rug under me. And at that point, it became like a quest to prove him wrong, to like validate myself. And like, ultimately, I thought I was like in love with this person, but I really think it was just my ego that I was trying to like protect and to show myself that I could like get this person, even though ultimately I didn't. So it was like this trap and cycle of, using validation to get more validation and then not getting the validation and feeling not validated. And that's just a dangerous place in dating.
It's really fascinating to me how much we say we want love, connection, but then that feeling of wanting to be validated trumps all of that. I see this a lot in early dating. It's like people go into dating with this very ambitious view, like I'm going to stand my ground and I'm going to express my needs and I'm going to connect with someone and build a relationship. But then as soon as like that second date comes around, it's like, pick me, please.
Start,
Please ask me out again, please. Please show that you like me. And even though you haven't decided if you felt that connection yet, you've already built a relationship based on how they feel about you.
Yeah. And I think the ego plays in too when you're like, well, I don't want to be the person to text first again because I did it last time. It's so like, the just pettiness that happens with dating.
Yeah.
Like all of that. And ultimately, what drives connection? It is, telling this person that you want to hang out with them. You want to spend time with them. If you're just like, well, I'm going to wait 5 days and not respond to them 4 hours after they text me because I want to like have the upper hand. That's like the complete opposite.
Right. I still love How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days because I rewatched it on the plane. Because the concept is, here's a girl intentionally trying to lose this guy in 10 days, and a guy intentionally trying to make her fall in love with him.
Such a good concept.
It's such a good concept because she was doing basically everything and anything. And if he had the lens of, oh, I just want to see if she'll fall in love with me, of course he's going to see all these as like quirks.
Yeah.
She's so quirky. And there's like so many different dimensions to who she is. Yeah. The more curveballs she throws at him, the more she realizes like how accepting he is of who she is. I mean, like maybe we should go into dating with that concept. It's not like you're trying to win the other person over, but like you're just trying to create a dynamic where you both see and understand each other.
Yeah, you're putting it out there. Like I remember talking to one of our mutual friends and she's like, I just want to go on a date and just like word vomit, like everything that's going on. Just put it all out there. So at least you're putting it out there. And I think there's like a line of maybe too much at once, but I think there's something behind this idea of just showing the real you that I stand behind. And I think embracing rejection. Like before I met my partner, when I was dating the last time, I got rejected more times than I've ever gotten rejected in my life. I wasn't discouraged by it because I was like, I'm putting myself out there as myself.
Yeah.
And if someone can't meet that, they're not the right person. And like having that mentality in the past me would not have had that mentality. I would have been like, something's wrong with me. Like, why am I so broken? Like, again, tying self-worth to dating, which is something I was very, very guilty of. But I think the more you can just see it as like, I'm being authentic, I'm acting out of a place of love and connection. And if someone can't meet me, then they can't meet me. It's not like I'm doing something wrong.
Do you really want to be in a relationship where you feel like you're just not being yourself? That
no.
Everything you're saying, you have to filter before you say it. Everything you do, you have to think about, is this going to scare this person off? Is this going to be offensive to them? How tiring is that? And think about the last date you were on where when you got home, you were just beat, completely drained and exhausted. Yes, some of it could be from the nerves of the date, but mostly it's probably because you holding back, you repressing parts of yourself. And that heaviness comes from just like not being authentic.
I mean, that's exactly what changed my mentality with texting. Because texting was always my kryptonite. It was always that thing that I held so strongly onto of like, oh my God, I can't be the one to text first. It would drive me crazy. And then one day I was like, I want a relationship where I can just text this person whenever, whatever I'm thinking. And that is my relationship today. I just text whatever's on my mind. And that's what I want. But I was holding all that back when I was dating. And you know me, you know how important that is. But in dating, I couldn't let that out at all because I thought like that was too much. Like that's not how I should act in dating. I was so like caught into dating etiquette and the way dating works. And letting that go was, oh my God, just changed everything.
And on the flip side of this, I don't want people to take away like, oh, now I need to say everything that's on my mind.
No, you don't have to do that either.
You have to do what's authentic to you. And what we're saying is some of us feel more authentic when we're freely expressing ourselves. Some of us may feel more authentic when we don't talk as much. Like maybe silence is a good thing and we can revel in the silence on a date and not have to fill it with small talk or just words and noise. So there is a flip side to this too. Know what is authentic to you. Like your friend said, maybe I'll just verbal diarrhea on a date. If that's authentic to you, fucking do it. But if you're like, oh, I'm really pushing myself to squeeze out these words, like don't do it. That's not you.
I mean, again, I'll never discourage someone from doing what's right for them. But I do think there's also a line of like, you don't need to share every last thought that goes into your mind too. I think what we're saying though is you feel like you're holding back because you're trying to act the way you think you should be acting. That's when it's time to look and be like, why am I doing this?
Yes.
And is this authentic to me at all?
It's tiring. You don't want to do that.
It's exhausting. I think that's ultimately what dating is it's exhausting.
Yes.
When you can release this exhaustion, that's when you feel lighter. And that's when dating doesn't feel as terrible.
And we're hoping this episode helped relieve some of that for you, some of that pressure, that heaviness. Because now we're feeling it more and more with the people around us who are dating. There's just so much heaviness before you even get on the first date. So imagine the energy you're already bringing on to like what's supposed to be fun and lighthearted and casual. Here you go, in with a heavy boulder. That's how we feel about modern dating these days. So think about what are the beliefs you can start shedding today and the action you can take immediately.
Yeah. And I mean, we definitely gave a few actions, but even just thinking back to like, what is that one thing that I might be doing, not even knowing it? Like, I think for me, I'll just use an example that was a change I made that was huge, was this feeling like there's no one good out there. Most dates aren't going to result in second dates. I might as well not even put this person's contact info in my phone.
Yep.
And then you're showing up in such a bad mentality. Like this person isn't even worth getting to know, or you don't believe it's going to go anywhere. And then changing that little thing of just putting their name in my phone with this assumption, like I will see this person again, it made me show up so much more presently.
They became a person?
Yes, they became a person and you treated them with humanity, not as disposable.
Yeah, not as a number, not as your 5 o'clock and then you're running to your 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Well, easier said than done, hard to implement in a day, but these are the little shifts that we can start making in our bodies, in our actions, and then eventually it all builds up. You'll see the changes. I mean, it's going to catch up to you one day and you'll be like, oh shit, yeah, I am dating differently and I do feel different about dating now.
Yeah, I like that you said that. It doesn't happen overnight. I think even just acknowledging this, now that you've heard this, when things are coming up, that you're just like, wait, why do I feel this way when this doesn't make sense? Like taking the beat and just being like, what's happening? That's all you need to do as the first step.
Yes. Here's a little trick for you. Make a promise to yourself. Make a commitment to yourself that you are going to start making these little shifts so that you can start enjoying dating and lift that heaviness and overwhelm off of your shoulders. And you can make that commitment to yourself right now by pre-ordering our book because the book comes out in January.
Love it.
So you have a few months in between. Okay, pre-order the book now. By the time the book arrives at your doorstep, you're going to look back and say, wow, I already made so many changes already. And the book just buttons it all up.
Yeah, I love it.
Just like make you feel like, okay, now I'm ready to really enter this next chapter of modern dating that serves me.
Yeah, I'll put it into practice. Your future self will thank you.
Okay, you can pre-order the book, howtobedateable.com.
.com. And remember to leave a rating and review. That's our other ask. Goes such a long way.
Yeah, it really
Thank
does.
you in advance for both.
Okay, you can find us on all the social medias at Dateable Podcast is our handle. You can email us hello@dateablepodcast.com, and you can find us in all book retailers for pre-orders as well. Okay, that is episode 1, season 19.
Ooh.
We're pumped up. Let's go.
We have some great guests too this
yes.
season. Great guests.
Fuck yes.
All-star lineup.
We're going to save modern dating one episode at a time. Damn it. All right, wrapping up this episode.
Stay dateable. Before you leave this episode, just a reminder to head over to dateablepodcast.com/programs if you want to get in on our Meeting People IRL Masterclass and see what else we have in store.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply. When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.